Being chased by Matheus Nunes. It's a really good ball for Krupi. Curling brilliantly! From the moment it left his boot, it was in! Krupi scores for Bournemouth. It's an outstanding goal. And the 19-year-old edges Bournemouth nearer Europe and edges Arsenal towards the title. Arsenal are the champions of England. The club who were in danger of becoming serial runners-up are runners-up no longer. Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have won the Premier League in 2026.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Hello and welcome to episode 89 of FPL Bros. Of course, I'm going to start by saying congratulations to Arsenal, Premier League champions. 22 long years waiting for that trophy, that title, and yep, they by far and away had the best defence in the league, which they have done for quite a few seasons now. You know what they say, defences win you titles. So I think they can finally put all that banter about them not having any bottle to rest because they held their nerve and they went through. Although I do think it was a bit harsh to say they lacked bottle. Sometimes you have to be the best team and they weren't always that. But anyway, congratulations to Arsenal. This is the end of season review. Fashionably late as always with FPL Bros. We're already halfway through the World Cup and I've only just been able to get around to making this. So I've got to sort of blow off some of the dust and remind myself what happened towards the end of the Premier League season. And just a few thoughts on how it went, a few thoughts on next season maybe, and maybe one or two comments about how the World Cup is going.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
So I ended the season, my final game week score was 62 points, which was enough for a green arrow. And yeah, I captained Bruno Fernandes, who had a pretty good final day of the season. I got Mavropanos off the bench for 8 points, and pretty much everybody else really didn't do much. Tavernier got a goal, and I think Semenyo got a goal, as I knew he would. But the rest of the squad didn't do anything. Obviously, if I remember correctly, last day of the season, there was a massive panic about the Man City and Arsenal teams. Arsenal team wasn't quite what we expected, and the Man City team wasn't anything like we expected at all. Luckily, I got some of that news. Actually, I didn't get any of the Man City news, but I got some of the Arsenal news, but I still didn't make the right decisions as far as Arsenal went. And with Man City, I kind of had an idea that everyone would get rested. I didn't think Haaland would, but you can never tell. Luckily for me, Semenyo played, because I know Shirky's was flavour of the month. But I stuck with Semenyo, and I think it paid off in the end, really. So obviously, the other Man City players that I had, O'Reilly and Haaland, did nothing. So I finished with actually what is my highest ever overall rank playing this game, which is 29,830. So top 30k finish. My highest before then was, I think, top 33k finish. So that's my highest ever. I was in the top 10k, obviously, a few weeks ago, but like an idiot, I made some bad choices, and I went for Gyökeres and I captained him, and of course he didn't play, or he only played enough for a one-pointer. And I called myself an idiot for that, because I had a suspicion that Gyökeres wasn't nailed, but I went ahead and picked him anyway. So that's one of the lowlights of the season, really. I could have stayed in the top 10k. I took a gamble and it didn't pay off. The highlights of the season, although I probably mentioned it before, was the fact that I held on to Mickey van de Ven when he scored 23 points. And I honestly believe that made the biggest difference to my season and when I finished. And it's just Decisions like that can make a difference. Why is that such a big deal? Because obviously Spurs were terrible this season, but I had Van de Ven at the right time, and I rightly suspected that he would get something from their game that they had at the time. I think it may have been, I don't know. I can't remember. Who remembers? Such a long time ago. So if you want to know, that's what I make of my seasons.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
What else? Okay, so this season was the first time they introduced defensive contributions, and I'm all for it, frankly. Some people say it's nice because it gives you more of a reason to pick centre-backs and defensive midfielders. By centre-backs, I mean the ones who don't get up and score headers from corners or set pieces. They usually are limited to getting 6 points. The very good ones might pick up a few bonus and get 7 or 8 points. But now with DEFCON, they can get you an extra 2 points. So it's kind of widened the pool of players who can get points. And some people say it's a little bit OP because some defenders were getting points all the time, even when they were playing for teams who were conceding 2 or 3 goals. But I think pricing is the answer. Pricing is the answer to everything, basically, because pricing is the best way to regulate the game. That's the whole point. You can't have everyone. You can't have all the good players. So if the good or really good players are expensive, then it forces you to make tough decisions. So the higher the prices are for certain players, then the more variety there is in the game and the more thought and strategy you have to put into picking players, which is what you want, really. So I think DEFCON is here to stay. At least I'd like it to stay. If anybody who makes any decisions at FPL is listening, keep DEFCON. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and it's certainly better than some of the other chips you've tried out in the past.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
So, next season, what are we going to see in the game? Some people have pointed out there's not going to be any Harry Kane, at least not as far as we know, unless he gets transferred back into a Premier League team. And there's not going to be any Mo Salah, which effectively leaves the only reliable premium asset is Haaland. And if Haaland is the only premium asset, and everyone's going to have them in their team because they don't have to worry about fitting any other premium assets in their team. So again, how do you fix that? Guess what? Pricing. Okay, simple as that. Pricing. And what they could do is make Haaland super expensive. So if you really want him in the team, you're going to have to make sacrifices elsewhere. But then a lot of people just might go without him. Would that work? Who knows? The other thing is to increase the prices of all the other top scoring or premium midfielders. So players like Rice, Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, Gibbs White, who scored very highly, they're going to need to get a price hike. Other players who are already high priced but probably didn't have as good a season they should have done, like Palmer, Saka, and Mbeumo, Cunha, again, they need to have massive price rises because you can't have a game where you can basically fit all of them in your team because you can afford it. So some people might think it's unfair. We'll be seeing 12 million for Saka, 12 million for Palmer, 30 million for Mbeumo. Maybe that's not fair, but it's the same game for everybody. If we've all got to make tough decisions about how to get these good players in our teams, that's the idea. That's how you strategize and plan. And it can't be too easy to just have the best players in everybody's team all the time, because everybody would just be scoring the same points every week. And I think we'd much rather be put in a position where people have to make tough decisions and there's more variety between the teams.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Okay, so that's enough pontificating about FPL the next season. If you are listening to this, I'm sure you don't care and you would much rather want to know what my thoughts are on the World Cup if you do care about my thoughts. What can I say? Although it's easy for me to say this now, before the tournament started, I did think France were probably one of the teams that had a better chance of winning, and they looking like they could take it all the way, mainly because all their best players are just so gosh darn reliable. And I mean, I don't know if their defense has really been tested up until now, but with the attacking talent you've got of Mbappe and Olise and Dembele and Doué and Barcola, do you really need to worry about that? I don't think so. Argentina, obviously, another team. Brazil, probably are rated much lower than they should be. But they look like they can still do damage to anybody in the world. And it's been a while since Brazil has won the World Cup, so they'll be burning to make a good fist of it this time around. Yes, so the teams I didn't really care about, Ghana. At least they got out of the group stage. And at least they didn't embarrass themselves. I think they finished the tournament with a goal difference of -1, which is more than can be said of a lot of teams which went home early or after the first knockout stage. So, yeah, who knows what's left for them to do. Maybe the talent just isn't there and they're just going to have to wait until they can find enough players to fill in the gaps. As for England, yes, yeah, we can dream. Sure, why not? And I just want to make it clear that for me, as far as England goes, only results matter. Frankly, I don't care if they win every single game, including the final 1-0, and they put 10 men behind the ball after they score for 90 or 80 or 70 minutes. I don't care. I don't care. Winning the World Cup's what matters. Most people are not going to write England were really boring when they won the World Cup. They're just going to say they won the World Cup. Yeah, which more or less means they had the best team. So however they want to do it, that's fine. And I'm making a general point, I think, about the Southgate years. Yeah, maybe England weren't so great to watch while he was the manager, but at least he made it to 2 finals. 1 semi-final, 1 quarter-final, which made him the most successful England manager since Alf Ramsey. And I do recommend that you watch the Dear England drama on BBC. It's really, really good. I think it originally started life as a stage play, but they've adapted it for television really well. And Joseph Fiennes plays Gareth Southgate, and he does an amazing job. It's like him and Southgate are identical twins. Yeah. Anything else? Well, do I have anything to say, for example, about Scotland? No.
You're all about to witness a monumental throwdown.
Right then. So, next season, they've already brought out the Premier League fixtures, so you can see how teams are going to start. Some people are probably thinking about what players they're going to pick already, which is fair enough. It seems like Manchester United have a fairly good start to the season. I'll probably be looking at Bruno Fernandes. I might even look at Sesko. I think he's been overlooked, and I think this may be the season where he nails down the number 9 spot in Manchester United and scores goals quite regularly. There, I said it. I think he's better than Gyökeres. I think he can be better than Ekitike as well. So you heard it here first. Obviously, I waited till game week 10 where he scored no goals and he's nobody's team, and then I'm left with egg on my face. But isn't that just the way it goes down? So, yeah, thanks for listening to this. Probably if you're bored waiting for an England game to start, because tonight they're playing Mexico, and by the time you hear this, you're going to know what the result is. Hopefully it was a win. And do press like and subscribe. It helps us out. And apart from that, look forward to being there for the start of next season. Hopefully we'll get a pod out just before the season starts, but who knows. But anyway, we'll be right there with everybody else, agonizing over our decisions, cheering when we get the green arrows, commiserating when we get the red ones, and just basically going through it all over again. Can't wait. Goodbye everybody, and see you soon.